Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Good evening all and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP and joining me in this Monday night episode is my good man Daniel. Daniel, it's been a wee while for I've seen you on, pal. I had a wee chat with you. Happy New Year to you. I think we can still say that. We're still within the, I always say the 2-week marker after the New Year. Right. That's when you kind of stop saying Happy New Year to people, Daniel. But aye, hope you had a nice one, pal. It's good to get you on for a wee chat.
Aye, alright. How you doing, mate? It's been a wee while. But no, it's good to be on. Hope everybody else has a good New Year as well, and we've actually got a positive result to talk about now instead of what looks like a horror show for previous. But no, a good result at the weekend there, and a lot of positive performances, but a lot to get through.
Yeah. As Daniel said, folks, good evening to you all. I hope you are all well. Hope everybody had a lovely weekend. If you were at the Celtic game on Saturday, I hope you really enjoyed it. Yeah, hope the weekend was good to you all. As we normally do, Daniel, at the very beginning, we will come to some comments, mate. So let's see who's in. We've got Thomas Burns with us. He says, come on the hoops. Where's our new striker? Cheryl and Gary. Hail, boys and girls. Theo Isaac, he's in as well. Good job. John Shirley, he's not got the memo at the beginning. He says, JP and Ryan, where's all these signings Matt are talking about with a biscuit tin? I've not heard that expression, and I don't know how long, Daniel, in terms of looking at the way of transfers and stuff, mate. It's been a wee while if I've heard that expression, eh?
It's not usually the biscuit tin it's getting referred to. It's more like the gold laced jar at the moment, but it's as if it's padlocked shut.
Hi. Mark McDonald, you're in as well. Hail, JP, Daniel, and the chats. G-Doc, evening all. There's our good man Ryan in the chat. He's on the day job. He says, evening lads, good to get a victory again and some good performance. But the fact now Martin is voicing his concerns on the transfer activity, same old story. Evening JP, Daniel, and the chat from Angem. Plunges in as well. Evening boys. Have we got any new? There's our good man Francis Lester. Evening again lads and lassies. Where's our striker? Fed UK with his board sleeping at the wheel. I don't know. I think he meant to say fed up there, Francis, so we'll let you away with that one. This is well, I'm on the ball, mate. But Nick Conley's in as well. Hi, lads. Struggling to even make the positives from the game on Saturday. Our club's a laughing stock at the minute. It's about time all the supporters stop burying their head in the sands. I don't know if I agree with you there, Nick, to be fair. I think 1-4-0 at home on Saturday, mate, is extremely positive considering what we've been watching over the last number of weeks, pal. So I think I'll stick to the good feeling I had watching Celtic at the weekend, mate. Yeah, I think it's always good, Daniel, to see Celtic winning first and foremost, but to do it in a style and what we saw on Saturday, I think it was very pleasing. Like I says, mate, considering the number of weeks that we had previously.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of like the Celtic we kind of grew to know. Under Martin and Neill, we came out firing straight away, and then once one went in, it just flowed through there. A lot more attacking intent in this team.
Mm-hmm.
They just looked up for it again, mate. They just looked like they were enjoying playing football again, which is something that in the last few weeks under Wilfred it just wasn't there, mate. They looked as if it was a chore at times. I know people like me and you and people in the comments would be chomping at the bit to step foot on that park for Celtic any time of the day, but it was very evident that Wilfred Nonce had lost the dressing room. So it was definitely a better performance. Result wise, it was fantastic compared to what we were going used to. But no, definitely, it was good to feel that kind of atmosphere around about the stadium with people leaving happy, people cheering, and you know what I mean, instead of everybody being doom and gloom.
Yeah, I think when you look at like I said, the previous weeks under Wilfred Nancy, the way things were going, Daniel, I think when you compare that to Saturday, it would be like night and day, you know. But again, mate, it's an indication of what can happen when you actually put players in their natural positions. And also, mate, obviously Martin O'Neill's just came back in. First and foremost, Daniel, you've not been on, mate, so let's get your quick thoughts regarding, well, I know your thoughts on Wilfred Nancy, but in terms of Martin O'Neill coming back on, mate, how were you feeling when that happened?
I think it's just one of these ones. We knew what we were going to... I think everybody in their right mind kind of expected Martin to take the job back if and when he was to be relieved of his duty. But no, listen, man, it's just one of these things. You relieve your manager of his job, 8 weeks after getting him. There's only kind of really one guy that was going to pick up the phone at this point in the season, and it was Martin. So, no, listen, we knew the boost that he gave the players and stuff like that when he first came in, so we knew what we were getting. Knew obviously he's got quite a lengthy run of games with the squad. I'm sure they announced he's not just interim anywhere, it is until the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. We've got some massive games coming up, and I'm not being funny. If we wanted Martin to navigate that wee period when Wilfred joined, I'm sure should be all right with him moving forward. He just gets something out of players that Wilfred never ever did, and for me, it just came down to motivation. He knows this guy that knows the club. He knows how to get the best out of these players. He knows where to play these players for a start. And good to see Fozzie back on the touchline. I know, another great personality and that kind of a background setup that, listen, we've all seen the YouTube videos of him, do you know what I mean? So we know what he brings as well, and then obviously Maloney as well, and the video that Celtic put out in training saying this is a midfield that he knows.
Yeah,
it's just it's a good reset point for us, because it went on far too long. So it's good to kind of pull the plug on that, get everybody's head back and focused within the squad, and just go for it now.
Yeah. Obviously, Martin O'Neill's, I mean, you touched on it there, mate. He's a great leader, but he also is experienced. He's an experienced head, and he knows how to get the best out of people. But he's got many different attributes and many different good qualities, Daniel. One being that he's a good man manager. So he kind of knows, even depending on how young the guy is, or how old the guy is, or how experienced the players are, he knows just the wee moments, mate, and what to say to someone.
Yeah.
Like he says, mate, you know, even the small interim period he had before he's come back now this season, that sounds mental even saying that when you associate Celtic in the mix with that, Daniel, but we're not very often are we in this predicament with in terms of chopping and changing managers, that's for sure. But when you look at over the piece with Martin O'Neill, even in his very first spell with the club, he just knew how to get players on side, mate, very, very quickly. Yeah. And ultimately, Daniel, it results in guaranteeing you winning. That's what it guarantees, because of the way of his formula, the way And you listen to him, mate, the way he conducts his interviews and the way he carries himself. And who wouldn't be interested in playing for the man? Who wouldn't be interested in trying to do their all or try to give their all? Now, that's where Ryan, obviously, from the channel has real fault here, because Ryan and myself, included, by the way, some of these players have not been given their all, mate, over the last number of weeks. They've not been playing to their best. And in my opinion for that, Daniel, you should not change that just because of who's in the dugout or who's over at the side. I've always said to you before, Daniel, you can have Pep Guardiola over at the side, mate. When you're a footballer, mate, if you go out in that pitch and you make the basic of errors, but you continue doing it, what's going to change is the manager's going to get a sack, but the players will remain there. So when other fans like myself see that and they see these players going onto the field and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Daniel, not only did they win the game, Daniel, they won it convincingly. But another thing that stands out, they kept a clean sheet, mate. This is a team that shipped 18 goals over 8 games.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now they were able to keep the clean sheet. Now, you can tell me that's down to systems or that's down to this or that's down to that. But there's an inner desire and will, Daniel, on the field, mate, that you've got to have in order to keep these clean sheets. All the running, the tackling, harrying people when they're on the ball, hunting the ball when you've not got the ball. That's got to be within you, regardless of what setup you've got, mate. And sadly, I'm afraid, it happens all over football, not just at Celtic, Daniel. And, yeah, Martin Neill is a culminating factor there because he brings the best out in individuals. Yeah. Which is always going to be the case.
Yeah, definitely. Just to touch on the defence, I think kind of any time the ball ended up in our half, we kind of had PTSD and we're sitting there going, oh, Jesus, no. But then, magically enough, we've managed to keep the clean sheet, which is vital at this stage in the season, mate, especially putting ourselves back in, hopefully, contention for the title. But no, it was vital, mate, because they make no mistake, they still had chances, but the defence kind of managed to deal with it, and it's like, that's the difference, mate, when you've got that kind of a back four in place and everybody knows exactly what they're doing. Nobody's playing out of position. It's all natural for everybody. I think maybe Trusty was the only kind of a guy, obviously, he was on that right side of the defence, but we know that he played there under Martin before and he was solid. So, yeah, everybody just looked a lot more comfortable at the back line. And it's just that back three and the whole defence stunning on the halfway line, ball, the tap nonsense. We didn't really need to worry about that anymore. It was just kind of everybody does their job and we'll be all right. I think Schmeichel had too much today, even though they did have chances. But yeah, mate, it was just a all-round good performance for the team. I don't think there's anybody that you could kind of point out and go, well, they didn't have the best of games. I think everybody done their part and the scoreline reflected it, mate. So it's just one of these, it's a good springboard now to go on and stay focused, but we're in a kind of a window where we definitely need strengthened, and at this very moment in time we're not really seeing that, and I know a lot of fans are getting their questions in about it and talking about it. It's like
your timing is always impeccable, mate, because that was just going to be my next topic of conversation. You seem to time it perfectly, mate, and even when I'm not on and you're on with the lads, and it just seems to be a thing that you've got, Daniel. It's just a wee knack you've got, mate. You time things perfectly to bring up the next sort of subject, and that's what we're going to go into. So obviously,
you can't teach it.
I know it's tough for the top, mate. I know, because that's one of my true sayings. It's tough at the top, mate. It's people sometimes pay a lot of money and they still can't be that good. So, I don't worry about it, me man. It's one of the gifts, mate. One of the many ones that you'll probably have through time, pal. But no. Talk about recruitment, right? So so far, Celtic have brought in right back Julian Araujo, and we only seen a glimpses of him in the Glasgow Derby defeat. But then obviously we saw a good 60-odd minutes in him at the weekend. So far, you like what you see, Daniel?
I mean, he looks eager to get forward. Wasn't he? He's definitely no shy to put a tackle in, as we've seen. I think he was extremely lucky not to get penalised, because where I was sitting in the stadium, it did look quite high. But yeah, he definitely looks like someone who's willing to get forward. Obviously, he doesn't carry the. I'm not quite sure on name, but listen, I'll get a good stab.
I'm telling you.
He certainly doesn't carry the same physical presence as Alistair Johnson, but in terms of attacking intent, it's definitely there, and he's no shy to fire into a tackle anyway, and that's kind of what this squad's been missing, I'd say. Although we did only get a wee 60 minutes look at him, I was kind of impressed. I said to my mate sitting next to me, I've kind of liked the look of this boy so far. But no, he looks like a talented player, and hopefully he can just kind of a build. I mean, anybody would feel confident going into that Celtic team, knowing that they could do better than Ralston in the last couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? So it's just why they hangs. But no, I was impressed with Araujo in that match, and hopefully he can go on to do better things. But there's definitely holes in this team, mate, that need to be strengthened. I said to yourself and Ryan and even Alan, if Celtic are serious about this season, there's a striker in the door on New Year's Day, and you've got a centre back lined up for later in, whether it's later in the window or just at some point. So far, it's as if striker wise, we're just passing it about from pillar to post. And it's definitely an area that needs strengthened. I mean, Maeda gets injured, and you're kind of looking at who else have we got there. I know Johnny Kenny is at the club, but he's not firing. Let's be brutally honest. It's no numbers that are impressing us. So something needs to be done, mate, because just for August they've had 8 months now or something like that. No, August for the start of the season, with the window closed. They've had a good number of months now to have somebody lined up, and they've not done it. They've had 12 months for Kyogo left, and they've not strengthened in that area still for me. So something needs to change.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been certainly imperfections throughout, which has led to this point. Well, obviously, since the summer, things have been really toxic on and off the pitch. It's been a bit of a freak season in a way as well, Daniel, because I don't think in my time watching Celtic, I've never seen the Celtic managerial job change so many times, in the one season. So, and then on and off the pitch, it's not been really good harmony. Rubber Duck, it's him, Kelechi Iheanacho and Saraki are scheduled to be, they're back training with the team, but they're scheduled to be back available for the Auchinleck Talbot game. So that was what Martin Neill had said. And then the one of the longer term injuries like Jota and AJ and the boy Osmond and CCV, the nearest one's towards the end of March, and that's going to be AJ. So that's quite a concern, actually, Daniel, because obviously everybody was expecting Jota to be back this month. Now, we don't know. I mean, none of us know the ins and outs of what's going on in there, but the prognosis was he was going to be back in this month. We do know he's training, and he's back doing training again, but he might have had a wee setback or so. But going back quickly to touch on Araho, I quite like the look of what I see. I do think he's got a great level of physicality. I think he's got a right good turn of speed, Daniel. I've noticed as well, Dundee United, especially at Tannadice, mate, one of their go-tos in the game was long diags to the right-hand side. Well, I think they tried that once, and you probably remember it. It was in the first half. It was about maybe the 10th minute or something, and he cushioned the header into Austin Trusty. And then after that, Dundee United were like, right, we can't do that again, because Celtic then picked a couple of passes around them, and before you know it, we were in there sort of in our final third of the pitch.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think we've brought in a very able body there. Now, I know it's only short term, and I know he's only been brought in till the end of the season. But that being said, I mean, once he came off and Kobe Donovan came on, I didn't think the levels dropped too much, especially on the right-hand side, the way we were attacking. Plus the fact as well, I mean, the lad looks to play forward as well, which I really liked. I really liked these combinations with Engels and Yang, and especially in the first half. I thought he was outstanding in the first half. I do think you're bang on, Daniel. I do think he was lucky to escape a red card. I have to say, Celtic fans, everybody that I know was all in agreement that Cornelius should have been sent off for his tackle in the semi-final against Johnny Kenny, and it was very, very similar to that. I would actually say it's slightly worse, because if you look at Araho's, he's actually lunged and he's went into mid-air from distance.
Yeah.
Like Cornelius' tackle is closer in proximity to Johnny Kenny, which makes it a wee bit more sore when he lands on him.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, when you look at that, I thought he was lucky to escape a red card, if I'm being honest. And the way the VAR works in Scotland, mate, I'm really surprised that he wasn't red carded, to be fair, and I think we get away with one. That being said, I thought he put in a decent shift. I understand why he only played just over an hour. Probably going to have to manage him, mate, because he's not played a lot of games and a lot of football.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think the holy grail, Daniel, in this transfer window is a centre forward. I've said this a number of times now. I think we need to get a centre forward in.
Yeah.
I did say we need two. But if we can get any actual back fit and he's back to being able to contribute, I think we'll get away with getting to the summer with those two. If another striker's brought in. So I do think we need another centre forward, mate, because I think any actual will complement the side. I do like him. I think he's got a bit about him. And my understanding is any actual's got this season with the option of an extension to next season. Is that right? It's a bit similar to Casper's deal.
Aye, I think it's kind of just a rolling.
Yeah, so he can if he wants it, if the club agree it, then he can go again next season. It's been unfortunate, mate, that we've been hampered in that area. You look at young Callum Osmond as well.
Yeah.
It might be a different story, mate, if those guys were available. We might be, I'd still say we'd be looking for a striker, but it would probably only be one. I did say I wanted two in this window. But I would be happy, Daniel, if we could get a right winger in and a centre forward. Because I think the right winger, especially playing under Martin Neill, mate, can complement the forward line.
Yeah.
And we're now at a stage, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're now at a stage, mate, where, in my opinion, and this is just over the last number of times since Martin Neill's interim spell, Yang's been a really important player for Celtic, Daniel, in the way that we've played, and he's contributed now with numbers, and the way he runs for the team, and the way now he triggers presses. And I noticed he was a man that he triggered a lot of our stuff on Saturday, and he was able to help Engels and Callum McGregor to win the ball in certain areas of the field just by his press. I mean, there was one on Saturday as well, mate. He chases the ball back to the halfway line, puts his body in and just turns the boy.
Yeah.
His work rate's incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible. He touched on his... We've all spoke about his goal against that mob across the water in the Glasgow Derby. His goal at the weekend was a peach as well.
Yeah.
Just to open up his body and take it and go back across goal. So, yeah, I would agree with that too, Patrick. Yeah, I think he's been... I believe he's been my best player over the last period of time. Patrick's saying 6-7 weeks. I would even go back maybe 8-9 weeks. I'd go back longer. Oh, you're probably talking... When was it he came in? Was it the Feyenoord game? Away?
Aye.
Right. So since then, mate, a lot of Celtic fans at the time had been saying, right, we've not replaced Nicholas Kuhn. Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion now, you could slightly put an argument up and say, well, we've got a guy here hitting numbers now that would put up an argument to say, yeah, he's fitting that bill. If something happens to him, Daniel, we're snookered.
Yeah.
Because Balak Wisha's not done much. And we don't know how good he is, but he's not even getting an opportunity. So, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely just sums up how bizarre a season it is. That I think Ryan's spot on there when he says it has took him a while to get going in a Celtic jersey. Obviously, he's been at the club for a number of years now, but honestly, mate, he must have got engaged when Martin Neill came in or something, because it's night and day to the player that we've known.
Well, Ryan seems to say that it was Ann Summers his missus went to during the Christmas period.
No, it's very, very impressive, the performances he's been putting in. I think everybody kind of still feels in a way that there is just something more he can do, and like he's
yeah,
like you said about Nicholas Kuhn there, it's like a barrier that we're kind of waiting for him to get there. So no, for him, genuinely all he can do is keep going. He's definitely been very impressive in the last number of weeks now. But no, about any actual, I don't think you can kind of bank on him. We've seen that now. He is just far, far too injury prone. I mean, we don't know whether it was Rodgers rushing him back or just him himself, but the game, that was him just back for injury, and he subbed off within 10 minutes, man. You can't be relying on him. So in an ideal world, I think you're spot on. You've got two strikers walking in the door, but we've not even got one in the door yet, so whether that's going to happen or not is two different stories. But no, I think you're spot on that there is a need for a right-sided player, because, like you said, if Yang does get injured, we're in a position where that forward line is really spread thin. But no, definitely for me, I think the two positions that we need vitally is a centre forward and a centre half. Obviously, I know Stephen Welsh has been recalled from Motherwell, just kind of settle the squad a bit just in case of emergency. But
yeah,
the fact that we've not even been linked with a centre half, like there's been no talk at all of a central defender coming into the club, is terrifying, mate. Especially when you see how.
Hold on. Now that you say that,
you got something in the chamber there that we don't know about.
No, nothing in the chamber. No. I don't know if you seen it last night, Daniel. Tam McManus. Now, Tam McManus isn't even Celtic related. He's former Hibs player, and he works for PLZ. But Tam sort of, he kind of let the cat out of the bag a wee bit last night, and he said that Celtic, yesterday in fact, had moved for a centre-back to his knowledge. Doesn't know, at the time, he didn't know what that outcome was, but he did know that Celtic moved for a centre-back, and he thought Stephen Welsh was coming back to Celtic to be sold. So that, now Tam put that on his personal account, on his X account. I always call it Twitter, Daniel, because I'm not used to saying it, mate. But his X account. So I don't know, mate. It's one of those. I think it's one of those ones that's kind of watch this space. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what to take for that, but it was just when you said that, and I found that, and it just pinged in my head there. I was like, right, I better say, because I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means that, you know, we're close to signing someone, or. But I do agree. We definitely need one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Martin having to come out and say that he's worried. Do you know what I mean? That's unacceptable. He's already done us a turn coming in as an interim, and then obviously he's doing us a favour, like taking care of the team again when Nonce's relieved these duties, and for him to having to be coming out and basically begging to get recruitment, it's a joke, mate. It is just adding to this absolute laughing stock of a season for the board to sit and call for unity and then go and do that. It's just these kind of it's not even two steps. It's a step forward and two back for me. It's this cat and mouse kind of a thing of, oh, we'll just wait it out. We've waited it out all season, mate, and we're not in any better position. Do you know what I mean? So things need to be changed pronto. If it is Stephen Welsh coming back to be sold, that's probably the best outcome, because we know now that no matter how many loan spells and stuff like that he goes on, he just is not Celtic quality. He's not up to the standard. He's had a run in the team and he couldn't put his stamp on it, so it's time to maybe cash in there or send him back on loan to Motherwell if that's an option. I know people have been talking about that, like he can go back towards the end of the window, but no, a centre half is very high priority, because I think we know that Cameron Carter-Vickers is not going to kick a ball for the rest of the season. Obviously you do have Liam Scales there who's playing on the left, but now if Austin Trusty looking to be injured, your only other really option there is Dane Murray, because we know that Simpson Puzzi is either gone. Is he gone yet? Or
he has gone, yeah. He's over in Germany now. He's at Cologne.
He's away now. So you had somebody sitting there, so he's gone now. So your only other really option there is Dane Murray, and we know that Dane Murray's Dane Murray. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to say anything on that. So it's time to move Stephen Welsh on. You can't bring him back and just expect it to be, oh, that's him turned good now. Yeah, centre back's just as high up the priority for a striker, in my opinion. There we go. He's left the club and played 90 minutes straight away. Speaks volumes. But no, a striker is the key. That is the one that we've all been crying out for the minute Kyogo left the club. And the fact that we've kind of been made a laughing stock already with that, in attempting to re-sign Kyogo, and obviously a short-term loan, and basically they've turned around and went no. And then obviously the boy we've been linked with recently, he's was supposedly injured. Turns out he's no injured, and because he's linked with another team. Obviously the draw of the Premier League is massive, but it's just another thing where the Celtic recruitment team and higher up staff are just kind of turning into a joke for me. They're just getting made a mockery of in their failed attempts to try and get people in the door.
Well, I think first of all, you mentioned the Ivory Coast winger that the deal was pretty much a done deal, and then today we've heard that that's now not the case. I think when you get to circumstances like that, Daniel, I think for me personally, the way I see it is, I don't think that's in Celtic's control. Right now, I hear this. Well, why did they not try and sign him earlier? And why did they not do this? And why did they not do that? Things are all about timing. I get that, right? But they've went and tried to sign the lad. Now, there's been mixed reports come out, as Daniel says, folks. Like, this lad's meant to have failed a medical with his and the injury he needs surgery for. And first and foremost, if that's not the case, right, where did that story come from? And how did that get into the actual mainstream media? Where did they get that story from, right? There's a conflicting report to that now today that Jocelyn Tabby is now going to Sunderland. And he's now, he's now going to make the move there. Sometimes that's going to happen. That, players can be drawn out of negotiations because their agents are looking to, they're scouring the market for other teams. So, yeah, sometimes that is going to happen. And if I've said it millions of times, if it comes down to the English Premier League or Scotland, folk need to understand that Celtic aren't going to be the first choice, even for teams like Sunderland, Burnley, Southampton when they're in the Premier League. Aye. So that's it. But, I don't think many of our fans, Daniel, can be up in arms. They can't be, mate, because a lot of our fans didn't want the boy signed in the first place for political reasons that we all know why. So we then can't start pointing fingers at people going, you never done this, you never done that. Because really deep down, did you get your wish? Well, aye, you did. But unfortunately, Daniel, as well, getting back to my original point, mate, if Celtic go for a player and whether it be getting gazumped at the last minute or the first minute or whatever it might be, because a Brighton or a Burnley or a Sunderland or somebody like that has came to the table, you need to get it out your head now that Scotland, I've said it millions of times on this channel, Daniel, Scotland is not the bigger draw. Scotland isn't a big draw anymore that people that once was before. We used to lure English Premier League players up here. Guys like Chris Sutton, John Hartson, Neil Lennon. They all played in a very competitive Premier League. Alan Thompson played for Aston Villa. So, even if the boy's injured, then if he's failed a medical, then you walk away. You don't sit and go. Again, that's out with Celtic's control. Celtic have travelled to Israel, Daniel, to do a medical. If they've found anything wrong with his medical, mate, and I don't know how anybody can be furious with this deal. Because one, if Celtic signed him, the fallout for it, Daniel, was going to be humongous because of the political background of it all. I know that shouldn't come into it, mate, but sadly society determines that. But now that Celtic aren't signing him, oh, well, that must be the biscuit tin and it must be this and it must be that. You can't have it all one way and suit your narrative then, and then no willing to, you go the other way on it. But if Celtic sign him, the club turned against us again and they've done this and they've done that and they've done this and they've done that. I just think with that individual deal, Daniel, Celtic were doomed no matter what was going to happen, mate.
Yeah, definitely. It does kind of appear to be a lose-lose situation there, but I think it's just testament to kind of the frustration of everybody, and that we've watched Celtic drag things out for ages, and then it's just one of those things. If it's another deal that falls through due to a medical or due to Premier League interest, and it's just another one that adds to the fuel of the fire and going well, why? And it kind of gets swept up into the already existing frustration. But the Kyogo one is embarrassing for me. I mean, we knew the guy gave everything he wanted to give to Celtic. We knew that he wanted something new, and then the guy that they try and replace him with is the same guy. I mean, I know he's a bit of do we push the boat out and say he's a legend? Very, very fantastic.
He's an icon, Daniel. He's an icon.
Very fantastic player for this football club, right? But the point I was trying to make was when it was linked is, if you look at it from a purely analytical point of view, you take away the nostalgia, and everything he'd done previously, until the other day, he hadn't scored a goal since he left Celtic. So if that's no Kyogo and it's just a random player, and you look at that rap sheet and you go, he's not scored a goal in 12 months, is that somebody we'd be looking at? I don't really think so. And then obviously, the Leicester manager did say that he's not heard anything about Kyogo and that he has big plans for the squad. And then obviously we find out that the plug was pulled somewhere along the deal, whether it's the player not wanting to go or Birmingham not looking to let him go. But we all knew that he wasn't going to come back because he gave everything he could possibly give to Celtic. There was nothing left for him to give, and he is an aging striker. But no, he goes and gets his goal for Birmingham the other day there, and then it's another kind of a one where Celtic are left with egg all over their face because they said they've had this plan for the summer window shut to go and get the right guys and go and get like recruitment, and everything's in motion now. Like we're planning, so it's different, and we're sat here no further forward in signing a striker than we have been for the last year.
Yeah.
So
no, listen, Daniel, I get you, mate. And on the striker thing, I'm totally baffled by. But I think it's clear to say, mate, that, you know, whatever was happening under Paul Tilsdale's stewardship, mate, was the wrong thing, right? It clearly was, because the fact that Martin O'Neill, in one of his first interviews back in the door, was telling us all, that Sean Maloney was taking control of recruitment.
Yeah.
That fundamentally tells you, Daniel, that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
But again, mate, none of us here, not one person knows the inner workings in there and the way that they're doing it, and nobody knows what they're, you know, we're only surmising because of the lack of incomings. We don't see players coming in, mate. We look at it from a grass pitch point of view, mate. We just want to see players on the park doing well for the football team. But when players don't come in, all of a sudden, hundreds of fingers and hands start getting pointed and lots of accusations start getting made, mate. But when players start coming through the door, oh, this is brilliant, but that's all the fans are interested in, mate. You know, and I'm 100% with the fact that we have not got a striker in is mental, absolutely mental. Not even to the fact, mate, that I'm not talking about Celtic going and spending 10, 11, 12, 14, 15 million quid on a striker. That's not what I'm meaning, mate. But don't tell me Celtic can't go out and give me the profile that we found Giakoumakis in, or the profile. By the way, that doesn't guarantee anything. But you give yourself an opportunity with bringing in similarity. So the fact that we've not done that, mate, tells me that there's been mega mistakes made, which is probably why Paul Tilsdale's been moved on. Because now, again, mate, we're on the outside, Daniel, so we're only looking in. Yeah. And knowing football the way you do, mate, you can put two and two together and say to yourself, well, Paul Tilsdale's obviously made more than one mistake. And I think Wilfred Nancy, he never hired Wilfred Nancy. He just recommended him for an interview. But I think the fact that was a recommendation from Paul Tilsdale, along with other errors that have been made, Daniel, have culminated in the man moving on. And fair dues. Now, it would have been different, mate, if Paul Tilsdale was a man behind bringing Brendan Rodgers back to the football club, or having Ange Postecoglou in his CV. I'd be willing as a fan to sit here and go, do you know what? I want to give a guy a wee bit more time here. I want to give him that opportunity because he's only made this era with Wilfred Nancy. But in terms of the recruitment side of things, and I asked a Celtic fan this the other day, and I says, what do you look for in recruitment? One, you want to see a player come to the team who's going to make a contribution that culminates in Celtic winning trophies domestically. Two, hopefully makes the club money, as in becomes a sellable asset. Because that's, and the way I look at it, mate, that's what I look for in recruitment. Now, Celtic's a club, mate, that's always sold their best players. Mm-hmm. They've always sold their best players on. And they've always continued to dominate. Now, give or take 1 or 2 seasons, mate, Celtic won every season. And we've enjoyed that now over the last 2 decades or so. And people can say to me, that's in the past, JP. And I get where people are coming from because of how this season's went so far. But I use the key word there, Daniel. So far, this season hasn't finished. You know, yes, we've made mistakes, mate. Yes, there's been errors made. Yes, but things haven't been going well for the summer. But we have an opportunity, Daniel, in order to try and rectify this season. We have an opportunity still to fight for the title.
Yeah.
Off the back of everything that's happened, Daniel, if Celtic were to win this title, now I'm not talking about the Scottish Cup either, mate. I'm talking about just the league. If Celtic won this league, mate, it would be my favourite league win and I don't know how long. Because of what's happened this season, Daniel. It would probably be a big surprise as well, mate, because up to now, nobody's seen it coming. I don't think we've been top of the league once this season. And if we have, it was probably in the opening days of the season. So, yeah, as I say, mate, it's an area of the field that we desperately need surgery in. 100%. A centre forward, like I says, mate, earlier on, is the holy grail. Because the amount of chances that Celtic are creating, even when we did under Wilfred Nancy, if we'd have had a top draw striker, someone like a Giacomakis, or the way Kyogo was when he was here, Daniel, we wouldn't have, we more than likely wouldn't have lost the games we lost. And some of the games would have been finished. And by the way, I know he's back in the chat tonight, our man Shankland here. The Hearts game at Celtic Park, if Celtic take their chances before Hearts even get their goal, mate, the game's finished at half-time. And that's no fabrication, that's no wishful thinking. That's a fact. Go back and watch a game. So, if Celtic had a top draw striker, or to us, a top draw striker, someone to put the ball in the back of the net and is not missing, the chances that we're creating, mate, then we might be in a better position. So, yeah. So I'm with you, Daniel. We need a striker, 100%. But it's not the only position we need, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any other positions on the field, mate, that's important to you that we need to try and get in?
Centre half, mate. I've been saying it for a wee, even before January came around. When you just look at the available players there, obviously Vickers has been injured for a number of weeks now, but you take either, say, obviously I know Liam Scales divides a lot of opinion, but like it or lump it, he is a starter right now. So, and in a back four, he's seemingly a lot stronger than he was under Nancy. For me, he's not my favourite player. I think there's quite a lot of errors still in his game, but he is a starter. So an injury happens to him. Who have you got left? Do you know what I mean? So centre half is one that is vital to me, mate. Obviously, the front line, we are needing a right winger. The fact that we even entered a season with its, I remember that graphic that Ryan put up, and then how lopsided that was, man. That you can't do that.
Under Nancy?
Just in general, mate. Just in general, the fact that it's so lopsided, you can't do that. And then just to comment on Paul Tilsdale, I mean, you look at the guy's rap sheet before. I mean, he just reeks of failure anywhere he's been, and like for him to get the job in the circumstances that he gets the job, it's genuinely just banter at this point, mate. I mean, how can you possibly give somebody a job based off of the fact you met him at a golf do and you thought he was all right? You can't do that at one of the most successful clubs in the world. It just can't happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just sheer incompetence. And for me, the way that Martin O'Neill is being treated right now, the fact that for me, it's starting to reach embarrassment levels. The guy's coming in and doing your turn, and it's as if you're just treating him like he's some bam. Do you know what I mean? You can't. This is a guy who's had the recruitment before, by the way, and had one of the strongest Celtic teams ever. He's come back no once but twice to try and help you rectify a season that is manufactured off the back of their failure, and they can't even give him the resources to go and do what he wants to do, because the failure comes for your guy upstairs that you had to let go in Paul Tilsdale. So you've got Sean Maloney coming in, doing us another favour. He's now took care of recruitment. He's now saying, no, this is the way we're going to go and do it now. And it's as if they're just going, all right, you can go and look at them, but we're just going to keep doing the same thing and we'll see what happens. I guarantee you now, mate, they say they want to get things right, and by the standard, they done the right thing in letting Nonce go. They done the right thing in relieving Paul Tilsdale his duty. Now they need to keep building if the rest of them want the pressure off them. They need to keep going. They need to keep making the right decisions, and they're no doing it, mate. They're making us look even merrier laughing stock than we already do. For us to be in this kind of a position, it's not the worst position we've been in this season, but you need a centre forward right now. You can't go any deeper into this window without a centre forward walking through the doors at Celtic Park, because you talk about the amount of chances that we make, like it or lump it, Hearts put in a performance at the weekend that wins titles. That's it. That if you're looking for a title winning team, that's the kind of a performances that you're expecting, mate. Down to 10 men, second half they kind of their backs against the wall, and they pull it. The goalie pulls out an amazing save in the last minute of the game to keep them 1-0, mate. So
there's actually no many goalies in the game, Daniel, that I think get that. I'm being honest, mate. I know he was a good Celtic servant as well, Big Craig, but there isn't many goalies about, mate. He's probably one of the very few, mate. I would say that, there's no many goalies about, mate, to get that. Even the goal, even like, I know Xander Clark's just went to Doncaster Rovers and that there. Mm-hmm. Even if he's the number one, mate, I don't think he saves it.
No,
there isn't many. A fully fit Casper Schmeichel, I would probably put my hat on saying he'd done me a shout of getting that. I mean, even he's been off form this season. Butland, no, I don't even think I don't think he's a top of the range goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. His kicking ability is absolutely shocking, especially in a modern game, I know. And he's suspect at crossbows. So, but Big Craig, mate, he's one of the very few goalies going about, mate, right now in this modern day that I would say is capable of pulling that off. And what a save that was, Daniel.
It's an incredible save, mate, and it's just testament to what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of performances that win you titles. That's the kind of performances that we're used to a Celtic team putting in. So this is what you're up against. We can't. For me, it's as if the boulders are sitting there going, but it'll be all right. It won't be though, because they only gone away. They've beat us twice this season. No matter what way you kind of look at it, Rangers have got themselves back into it. So you're kind of it's in a state now where if you don't put everything into it, you're leaving yourself short to not only a potential title race, but a race for second place in amongst that, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's as if they're just expecting it to be all right. It's as if they're going, but we'll be fine. And this is what me and a lot of other people have been saying for a while now. It's completely reactive and no proactive. This is the opportunity for them to actually make the changes that they're saying they're making. Obviously, January can be a tricky window. Yeah. Like you said, mate, you've got a profile for strikers who've come into the club previously. That's the kind of a profile that Celtic are needing right now. There has to be somebody available for whatever amount of money that can come into the club in this window. It's impossible that there's just nobody. I mean, who was it? What was it? What was the number of right backs that supposedly Paul Tilsdale had looked at? I know it was over 100. You can't tell me not one of them was good enough to come into this club.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, and he took a wadder on to Brendan at the beginning of the season as well, and ultimately the manager said no. So again, mate, I don't know the inner workings what's going on. We're only hearing snippets. We only get snippets into the kind of mainstream social media and the mainstream media, and anything the media do get and put out, they are genuinely behind. Through good friends in the game, like William Glavin and Barry Bannon and that, we do know that for a fact. The media are behind. It's not the media's job to be fully up to speed. They always get after news. So they get, their news is after, but it's 9 times out of 10 it's informed. Don't get me wrong. But it's always after these things happen. I mean, it's like Ryan's always saying to me, Daniel, Ryan always says, JP, how do we get players and stuff into the country without people recognising them? It's like Brendan Rodgers was up here the second time and his interview appeared on Celtic TV with Jerry McCulloch back when he was announced the manager. Nobody seen him, Daniel. There was no pictures before him in an airport. There was nothing here.
Yeah.
And it was a shame with Martin Neill.
Aye.
Martin Neill was literally doing that interview with Jerry McCulloch, and then all of a sudden his video appeared and he was in Koyas.
Aye.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if maybe, teams like Celtic, Hearts, Rangers, whoever it might be, I don't know if they've got friends within the media. I know some of them do have. Like Martin Neill's PR guy is Mark Guidi. Not everybody knew that till the other day. So he looks after Martin Neill when he's up here.
Mm-hmm.
So, like say that, mate, I don't know if they've maybe get friends in the media and they maybe say to them, listen, going to hang off now. Because we want to do this now, we want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe wait till, 5, 6 o'clock before you put this out. They might, they might have an agreement or whatever. And because they've had exclusives before and some of these journalists, they might very well be in agreement with that, So... Aye, but Francis, they've done that, mate, so they can make sure he's not thirsty. So one thing he's guaranteed, mate, is he's not going to have a drift. Did you notice who the poster boy was for it, by the way? It was Yang. Maybe that's how he's flying now, Daniel. Maybe he's well hydrated enough before games.
Fully hydrated,
He's fully hydrated and he's good to go before the games, but no, as I say, mate, I'm on board totally with the striker. I definitely, and this is the thing as well, and I'd say this to Ryan, speaking to him on the phone the other day, and I said, obviously this window, Celtic will probably going to need to be diligent now the way they spend their money, because if we buy a striker, I'll just say we loan a striker with the option to buy, right? That's going to come at a cost as well, because we'll probably need to pick up a percentage of his wages. And then obviously we'll need to agree whatever that fee is going to be for it to be an obligation or whatever it might be at the end of the season. So I'm going to give an example because we've been linked with the Lorient FC striker Mohamed Bamba.
Mm-hmm.
So that deal, my understanding is through our good friend Anthony Joseph, as a loan deal with the option to take him permanently.
Yep.
I'm not against taking a deals, Daniel. Because like you've said yourself, mate, I know how January works. I know... a lot of teams are going to be reluctant to part with their best players and they're really good players. I'm on board with that. I get that. So I'm not against that. In fact, I actually prefer that route personally, if I'm being honest, because one, it allows us to have a look at players. I'm really wishing now we'd done the same with Balak Wisha.
Mm-hmm.
Because we spent £5 million on him, and look at the fallout. People are saying the guy's terrible, he's this, he's that, So it's... Yeah, you know, I'm really wishing now we'd have went and maybe loaned him with the option to buy, and then we might not take that option because he's not done well enough for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's yeah. But I've gave that boy Bamba. I'm not saying Celtic are going to sign that lad. I've gave that as an example because of the deal and the outlets of the deal. Because I think obviously Celtic would have made mistakes, right? And obviously they brought in Wilfred Nancy, and they'd to pay Columbus Crew a fee for Wilfred Nancy.
Yep.
Now I can't tell you how much it's going to be. The guy signed a 2.5-year contract with his coaching staff that he brought with him, who was an entourage. So Celtic probably had to negotiate fees with them to terminate their contracts early. They only lasted 33 days, Daniel. So they've had to let them go.
Yeah.
Martin O'Neill's not going to be on a cup of coffee and a chompa.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So they've then had to give Martin O'Neill a wage. So, you know, that's money as well that's being used up. And yet, people are going to say, well, do you know what, JP, we shouldn't be having to use that money because we shouldn't have been in this predicament and we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. Lots of things shouldn't happen in life. But unfortunately, Daniel, there's a mitigating circumstances, mate, as to why things happen. So, sometimes things are out with the control of individuals for things happening. Things happen unexpectedly. That's life, mate. That happens all over life. We need a striker. I agree with you, Daniel. I think we need a right centre back as well.
Yeah.
But the three real areas of the field for me was right wing, centre forward, and a centre back. That's where I was as well.
Yeah.
Because, and right now, I don't care if Celtic go and spend 10 million or they go and spend 7 million on 3 players. The amount we pay does not bother me. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. I judge people when they come to Celtic, Daniel, and they pull the hoops on me, and then they go and do what they can do for the team. I'll then make a judgment on people then. But not when they've only had maybe 20 minutes here or 30 minutes here. You can't really tell. But if a striker comes in, mate, like let's say for talk's sake, it's this big boy Bamba, right? He might just have lost his way at Lorient, and it just might have not. Again, I'm not in France, mate, so I can't tell you what's going on over there. He might just have lost his way, and he might just have fell out of favour, and he fell out with the manager. I don't know what's happened. But why does anybody sign players for other teams? It's because of something's went wrong for them. It might just not be the right fit for the lad. Celtic's reinvigorated loads of people's days. Look at Scott Sinclair. That's the biggest impact I've ever seen a new player come to Celtic make. Ever. I can't tell you anything different, Daniel. You know, look at impacts. First couple of impressions of Larson. Everybody was like, who's this wee diddy? He gave a Bobby, Charlie scored. He scored an OG against FC Tyrol at Celtic Park in the European game. And then the following weekend, we get beat with Dunfermline. Everybody's like, who's this guy Larson we've signed, man? I'm only glad then, Daniel, social media wasn't thinking about me when he was there. Because they'd have wanted him out the door after 3 games. But I don't judge people when they're with other clubs and, you know, because I get told many a times, you know, when I think players are doing all right with the football club, but their stats don't back that up, JP. No, I know, but stats only tell you so much. It doesn't tell you, you know, a player up close in person. I'll go back to it. Agad Amida had a poor run of form before he came to Celtic. But even in his loan spell, Daniel, something just clicked from me. I still to this day say we get the best out of Ollie Buck. And he scored something like 13 to 15 goals in his time up here as well. So certain clubs, mate, for me, can just have an effect on certain individuals, Daniel. And then it's what's most important for me is what they do in a green and white hoops jersey. Know what they done with the last club or the one before that or the one before that, etc. I don't know how you look at it, mate.
For me, I think in that striker position, we can't afford to get it wrong, mate. We need somebody that's coming with a bit of pedigree. If they've got a positive goal scoring record behind them, mate, for me, that's especially strikers, just one of the positions, mate. Your stats need to look good, or it's very difficult for you to be successful. Do you know what I mean? Celtic's probably the pinnacle of a lot of players' careers. I'm not saying everybody, because a lot of players come to the club and then go on to the bigger and better things. But Celtic, for the majority, is the highest point that a lot of people reach in their career.
Yeah.
So to come in and be a Celtic striker, knowing guys that have came previously to you, you need to have some sort of something that sets you apart. It's just one of the positions on the park. You can't afford to keep taking punts because you just can't have it. You can't afford to get it wrong because this is the guy that scores you your goals. We see it now in the team. There's no somebody in that position who's taking the absolute barrel load of chances that were the rest of the team dishing up to them. So you need somebody that can just score you goals. And it's as if the Celtic board are just kind of it's all right. One of them will come good. It's waiting for people to come good instead of going out, doing their proper research. Like you said, even if it is using a profile that we've already used, somebody out there matches that profile. Somebody out there has a goal scoring record that's positive and can come into the club and want to play for the club. I know the European market can be quite difficult at times, but there's players out there, and it's as if the Celtic board are just firing blank after blank after blank. And if it was me and you only get so many mistakes in the jobs that we do, mate. So if you're going to consistently no do your job correctly, something's got to go there. Either you get one right or you lose your job. And for me, I'm sitting here, mate, and we're saying that we need a striker. I don't see us getting one. That's the way it's went. That's what I'm getting used to. I don't see us getting one in the door because of just how the track record of the last 12 months in attempting to sign a quality striker that can play consistently. Obviously, we know Iheanacho, he looks good, mate, but his injury record's honking. I think he's missed more games than he's played so far this season. We need a striker and we need it now. We cannot afford to skimp and cut and save and go through all this negotiations and all it's broke down. You go, you do your job. We've seen it under Ange, mate. And I know we keep coming back. I keep coming back to this. But the way this football club operated in recruitment alone under Ange Postecoglou is night and day to what it is now. I mean, we were Kyogo, for instance, we woke up and he'd signed and we were all like, off. Obviously, we heard murmurs, but we woke up and he'd signed. Maeda and Hatate were signed before the January window opened.
I signed in Hugmanay, that's right. Hugmanay, when they came in.
Alistair Johnson signed his contract in December. So you can't tell me that it's difficult to do these things when you've got players that are at the club who've come in at the same window. It's definitely just the people, mate. It's the people, and Celtic's recruitment has literally fell off a cliff. The standards have dropped horrifically.
Well, see, you're saying that, Daniel, in terms of the recruitment, mate. Right, I can see what you're saying to an extent. But because I'll always relate it back to, again, what you look for in the recruitment. And it's basically the success the team has. And give or take 1 or 2 seasons, mate, we won pretty much mainstream titles.
Mhm.
So people can say to me, JP, that's in the past. That, I mean, it was only there. You know, we're talking a matter of months ago. Celtic were in the knockout phase of the Champions League. This is a same model of recruitment that we everybody and their granny now is poking fingers at and really having a go at it. And I can get some of it to an extent. Some of it I'm on board with in terms of we need another striker. And there's things, you know, that there is definitely imperfections in it all. 100%. I don't disagree. But I can't simply sit and say that, you know, the recruitment is just all dire and it's no fit for purpose. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I can't. No one it's brought all the success stories that it's brought.
Mhm.
I mean, over the last couple of windows, we've broke our transfer record twice
Mhm.
on Arnie Engels and Adam Ida. Now, Adam Ida hasn't made the club anymore, right? Because Swansea bought him.
Mhm.
So in terms of, you would need to then answer the question of what is it you're looking for from the recruitment to then start having a different conversation, because give or take 1 or 2 seasons, Daniel, we're winning titles. This is all based on a massive rivalry that we had in this country as well. So, you know, most recently, I'm hearing things like, you know, Rangers are doing this and Rangers are doing that and Rangers are doing this. And it's kind of saying in my head as if it's, you know, I'm being told that they're the benchmark. Well, what evidence is there, whatever they're doing, showing us? I mean, they won 1 Scottish Cup every couple of years. They won 1 League Cup every couple of years. They've won the league once in the last 11, 12 years. Bearing in mind, by the way, this is a club that they've been labelled Rebuild FC for the last 5 years. They've got a stadium that's fallen apart, so much so that was it last season they started not even in the stadium?
Aye.
Right. They started the season with a manager who was similar to the previous manager we've just let go. You know, and I get Regina's comments here about improving season after season. Well, we have done that because last season we got to the knockout phase of the Champions League. So that's major progress for a team for Scotland. Maybe, again, Daniel, maybe it's just me. I don't know if it's an age thing, pal, or maybe it's just me. You know, I do see certain faults and I do see mistakes have been made and I do see plenty of imperfections. And, but I'm not having somebody tell me that mob across the water are the benchmark and we need to start copying them and we need to start looking at them the way they do transfers and the way they do this and the way they do that, because to me that's just you're smoking serious Jamaican woodbine if that's where you're going. I mean, it's only no long ago, mate, the Celtic fans were saying that Club Brugge were a benchmark. Club Brugge have been an absolute disaster. I think they're sitting third bottom in the Champions League group stage. So we got to the, you know, yes, they are, Patrick. Yeah, 100%, mate. They are above us in the league, mate. Only because we have made vital mistakes. And Martin O'Neill was brought to the club. Because, go back, rewind the tape back to Martin's interim. We beat them in the semi-final. And things were going well. Martin left, and then that's when the wheels came off, as Daniel says there. So, yeah, that's the thing, mate. Before I let you back in this, Daniel, the one thing positive coming from Celtic at the moment, mate, is got to be the shining light of, Martin Neill coming back in to try and help us with a fight now on a title challenge. And by the way, I'm all right with a fight. I'm all right in having to roll my sleeves up. I'm all right with having to grind things out. I'm all right with that. I can get on board with that. You can't have it all your own way. You can't have things all your own way. It's no reality to think that you're just going to blitz every season and you're going to run away with things. I'm not disagreeing with a lot of your points, folks. For anybody that's sitting there thinking that, JP, you're sitting there saying we're not doing this, we're not doing that, but, one mistake, but that's life. Mistakes happen. But I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden start to, I'm not panicking. By all means, I'm not panicking. Oh. But experience is what I'm looking at and where I'm coming from. Experience. And I've got enough within it now to say, Daniel, that experience tells me, mate, Celtic win more than they don't, mate. Mm-hmm. And that fits under this recruitment model as well. Because again, mate, you can't just pick and choose when you talk about recruitment and when it seems to be a go-to when maybe things haven't happened and other, it's deplorable. Absolutely deplorable, by the way, that we don't have a striker in the building. Deplorable. Now, I'm on record now saying this live here on this channel. It's deplorable that we do not have a striker in. I'm not getting away from that. But I can't sit and just, continue. I'm not going to sit and lambast either. I can't do that, Daniel. I'm not on board with that, mate. I'm not one to sit here and lambast something that ultimately, through time, mate, has brought me a lot of success and a lot of joy, mate, as a Celtic fan.
Yeah, it's like managed decline, mate, and that's what the biggest frustration is. Obviously, this model has brought in some great players and it's brought us a lot of money, but the reason why it was successful the way it was successful is for they had plans in place that followed and improved that winning. It's as if after that Champions League game, everything just went, right, we'll just try and stay there. We'll no look to go forward. We'll no have anybody lined up and letting, because you said earlier, Celtic have always been one of the teams that if a player shines, you cash in. There's been not one replacement lined up that is kind of either matched or supposedly matched the quality of what's leaving the squad, and that's how I'm really glad that you mentioned the squad that played Bayern Munich, because if you look at the quality in the positions that were now struggling, only one of them is still at the club and he's injured. And the key positions that we've been talking about, and that's Cameron Carter-Vickers. So it's just, there's been absolutely no backup plan. It's as if there's been no kind of a players lined up for us to go and progress further, because it's all right. We don't mind rolling our sleeves up and getting the job done, but being in the position that we're in financially and in the position that we were in squad-wise at the time of the Bayern Munich game, there is absolutely zero excuses to be in the position that we're in now. It is genuinely night and day. So it's just one of the things, mate. You cannot afford to have in a model that we operate, in. You cannot afford to stay stagnant. You cannot afford to have zero like replacements lined up and all that. Do you know what I mean? You can't afford to stand still with the system, like
Do you
the
think
recruitment
that's
system.
why? Do you think that, just on that point, Daniel? Do you think that's why, like, Paul Tillsdale has been moved on? I don't just simply buy the narrative that Paul Tillsdale recommended Wilfred Nancy for an interview, and then somehow that doesn't work out, and then Paul Tillsdale's let go. There's got to be more to it, Daniel. So do you reckon that's maybe why, there's been mishaps like along the way, and then that's culminated into, right, Wilfred Nancy's now became the final straw, Paul, so you need to go?
For him, definitely. For everybody, for a season as a whole, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of factors in why this season has panned out the way it is, and I think everybody takes responsibility for it. It's just some of it lies on, like, there's bigger chunks that falls at other people's doors. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think Tisdale is one of them. It's just I couldn't really say one thing that he's done where we've sat and went, "Ah, that's actually quite good." Do you know what I mean? It's just been one after the other and the other and the other, just absolute collection of failure. That's probably, you're right, culminated in, right, no, this is the last straw. Bang, you're gone. Do you know what I mean? But no, you just can't afford to stay still. And Celtic attempted that this season. And one, no recruiting in the summer. Two, failing to qualify for the Champions League after making progress in it. Well, now we're in a position that it's even harder for us to qualify for the Champions League than it was before. The season starts, you fall behind to Hearts early. You're defeated by Hearts twice. Brendan Rodgers walks. You get the wrong guy. Obviously, Martin comes in. We're looking, right, this is the opportunity to get the right guy in. This is the opportunity to push forward. You don't do that. If anything, you go back the way. And then, obviously, now we're sitting here. The squad's depleted. Injuries everywhere. The quality has took a nosedive for last year. And yeah, it's just an absolute culmination of failure, mate. And for me, it's just one of the things, the same people in these jobs cannot be allowed to be so stagnant, because we know we can progress season upon season upon season. Why this season has evolved, why this season have they decided, we're just going to stand still for a bit and see what happens? And it's all come away. It's genuinely all came away to the point where
I think personally there's definite mistakes being made, Daniel, 100%. And I think, these mistakes have been down to decision making, timing, individuality. So yeah, I think, like I says at the very beginning tonight, mate, it's been a mental season all round when you think about it, considering what we've witnessed as Celtic fans. It's certainly not something we've been accustomed to, because we've, things have, I think for long enough now, Daniel, we've certainly had things our own way. In terms of, I've said that a million times, mate, Celtic have absolutely obliterated Scottish football. If this was a PlayStation game or an Xbox game or whatever, then Celtic would have completed this game millions of times and be sitting with the wee PlayStation trophy you get for when you complete levels and you do things. And so I think, yeah, definitely, and I definitely think, and I've said this to Ryan millions of times, I definitely think losing to Kyra at the beginning of the season really sets that tone and really sets that sets us off in that path, mate. Because I think if somehow you manage to negotiate that tie, then I really think I've always said, Daniel, somehow when you're in the Champions League, mate, it somehow just manages to elevate your season.
Yeah.
And makes everybody feel, really good about the season, and it gives even the fans, mate, it gives everybody that spring in their step.
Yeah.
Now, I firmly believe that Celtic would have a trophy in the bag now if we never let go of Martin O'Neill.
Yep.
Because I believe if Martin O'Neill's the manager, Celtic beat St Mirren. Again, that's just my individual belief. I also believe that we would have beat Hearts, and I believe we would have won the derby. Again, that's just my opinion. And Saturday proves my opinion to an extent, because we seem to do things differently under Martin O'Neill. Like we says at the very beginning tonight, Daniel, he gives players that wee bit of edge that, that a manager like Wilfred Nancy, listen, I don't want to sit here and be too disrespectful, right? For whatever reason or another, it never worked out for Wilfred Nancy, and he's now not at the club. Martin O'Neill and Wilfred Nancy are two different managers. Martin O'Neill's a very successful manager, and Wilfred Nancy's now, he's probably at an early stage of his managerial career if he's going to continue in the game, right? Martin O'Neill's been there, bought a T-shirt, probably time and time over. He's probably got a T-shirt in many different colours, right? Martin O'Neill gets more out of this Celtic squad than Wilfred Nancy, and Saturday proved that. This is a team that beat us just a number of weeks ago under Wilfred Nancy, before the festive period. So, yeah, as I say, it's, again, this is just my thinking. This is just my thoughts. I believe Celtic have won a trophy under Martin O'Neill if Martin O'Neill stays, and we're sitting with one trophy. Now, again, that changes everything, Daniel. Because when you win the first trophy, especially Celtic, it normally sets you up, and everybody's buzzing about getting into the next part of the season, hopefully. And I think what Celtic fans have become accustomed to, Daniel, is you won that first trophy, mate, there's a good chance Celtic are up for the treble here.
Yeah.
And again, you go back to Brendan Rodgers, he's a man that made that possible. He's a man that brought that mindset. That then continued on with big hands. Neil Lennon's won treble with Celtic. Martin O'Neill won the treble with Celtic, and he's very first spell with the club. So, Daniel, but we've saw this for a long, long time. It's not something that's became a new thing. And as Big Charlie Mulgrew says a couple of weeks ago when I was watching him as well, Celtic are bouncing doubles and trebles and doubles and trebles and doubles and trebles. So, yeah, as I say, mate, it's one of those things, mate. There's been a lot of mistakes made, definitely. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know, Daniel. But I'm not going to sit and I'm not going to be just really, really hostile towards a hell of a lot of individuals who have also brought a lot of success to the club as well through time. Paul Tilsdale was a man of many mistakes. He's now moved on. But somewhere in that, Daniel, we need to recognise that the club have actually actively tried to rectify the mistakes they're making.
Mm-hmm.
The one that we all want to see is the unity with the fan base and everything else, and the unity to bring the fan base off the park is the one I want to see happening. Because the Celtic fans with harmony in the stadiums and everything else, mate, that becomes a different animal, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely, and we know that the fan unity is the biggest thing. I mean, you just have to look at the banner displayed at Celtic Park at the weekend, and it's aimed at Brian Wilson when he called for unity, but he's still imposing bans on the supporters. Now, we know supposedly why those bans are there, but if he is really all in for unity, you've got a new manager. Like, you know what you're going to get with Martin. We know that there was a buzz around the fan base when Martin was here the first time. So,
yeah,
if you're calling for unity, you can't then turn around and go, but no for yous. It's it's like it's such a baffling concept in my mind. Like, you cannot call for unity and still have but a certain section of the support banned for the stadium. I just simply don't understand it. But listen, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But I tell you what, mate, the certain section of the support that are banned for the stadium account for a lot of the atmosphere at Celtic Park. I've said it for a number of years now that the supporters inside the ground, it's like the atmospheres, it builds and builds and builds, and then say the game doesn't start off the way it's supposed to, it just goes flat, mate. It's strange, mate. It's a very strange kind of a feeling when you don't have that noise in the ground. Yeah, it's just one of those things, mate. The people in the Celtic hierarchy are calling for unity. They're calling for all the fans to be united, and then they are taking actions that is dividing the fan base because people have different opinions on like what should be happening, and obviously the group that are being banned and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a very strange situation. I think you nailed it spot on, mate. It's the bizarrest of seasons I've seen probably ever. I said to Ryan, in terms of just absolute strangeness, it definitely surpasses COVID for me. It's not quite there in terms of failure, but there is a lot of factors that Celtic need to get right in the coming weeks to avoid it reaching that kind of a stage, because the position that we were in financially and quality wise entering this season compared to where we are now, it's genuinely no other explanation than an absolute calamity and just serial incompetence.
Yeah, again, due to bad decision making in certain moments, definitely. But one of them is obviously getting a striker in the door. That needs to be the forefront of. Now, we're led to believe that Sean Maloney is heading up the recruitment. I have got full belief in Sean. He's a good football man. He knows what's required at Celtic. And yeah, I think with Martin's help and maybe even Fozzie, if Fozzie's helping him, I think I'm on board with that. I think they can get the right guy in. I said to Ryan, we now need to deal with the here and now. We need to deal with what we can deal with now. We're in a position. Strangelove in the comments was bang on. We've had a very poor half a season. That cannot change, Daniel. We had a couple of bodies to this team, mate. I still believe we've got exceptional players in this squad. I still fully believe in this team. Now, I know I done it against Kyra and they let me down in that tie badly. But I still have belief because the evidence shows me that we've got winners in the team.
Yeah.
Guys like James Forrest, guys like Casper, guys like, Cal McGregor, our captain. Luke McCown, a big Celtic fan, mate. So, Kieran Tierney. So, these guys really know. And I'm going to add players to this, and I'm not talking about players' ability or anything. This isn't even anything to do with this. This is just talking about heart, desire and will under the right leadership. Guys like Arnie Engels, he's been there. He knows what it's all about now to get out of the course.
Yep.
Liam Scales has been on the team now a number of seasons, Daniel, and he's won titles, he's won trophies. He knows what it's all about, mate. As much as he's not the best player, but Tony Ralston, he's another winner. He's won numerous of things with Celtic. So these guys, there's a lot of new people there, but Rio Atati, Daisy Maeda, I said Scales, mate. I said big Scalesy. So these guys are all, in my opinion, they're winners, serial winners, because of what they've won over the last period of time. That's important, Daniel. So that's where my evidence goes, mate, because even with Hearts and Rangers, none of them have it. They don't. They don't, mate. I'm not saying that's going to be the be all and end all of it, but it's always good to have that in your corner, Daniel, than it's not.
Yeah.
Because if you've got it, mate, then when things do become a scrap and you've got to roll your sleeves up, you've got that. You seem to have more there. And I think it's a fantastic chance, Daniel, for us to still rectify this season and still win this title. And like I says, Daniel, if we still manage to do that, mate, this is probably going to be one of my most favourite seasons for a long time because of the way things have went. Now, even our own fans, Daniel, I know pretty much, even listening to them and reading some of the stuff on social media and you hearing some guys' opinions, they've probably written Celtic off, mate. Right? They're probably... So they might not say that to you face to face, but this is my general take from it.
Mm-hmm.
From seeing the way people are, and there's a lot of anger in Celtic fans this season for one reason or another, and I understand that, I get it, but it's no faith, Regina. It's called experience. It's no faith, it's experience. Experience tells me that, when I've always said it in life, tough times don't last. They don't. We had a tough time under Wilfred Nancy. Players were losing their way and lost a bit of confidence. We've now installed a man now that's, you've seen that on Saturday. You've seen the change. You've seen the instant impact. That's why I've called tonight's episode the Neill effect, because that he guarantees winning. That's what Martin guarantees. Now, time will tell whether that's going to be the be all and end. Time will tell whether that's he's in enough time to do it, to salvage it. I believe if we get a couple of signings in, plus the players that we've got in the squad, even guys like Saraki, Aniacho. I know what you said about Aniacho's injuries, Daniel. That is a worry. And that's how I said at the beginning there is two strikers, because I do worry about him. But if he can get fit and stay fit, he's got enough quality about him, Daniel, that he'll help the squad.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll help. I wouldn't have any qualms of starting them games and using them as a finisher in the next game, or I wouldn't have any qualms with that at all, because he can contribute to the team. So can Saraki, because they've got the quality to do it, mate. By the way, I didn't bank on the form that Yang's hit. So he's kind of spun my head a wee bit, because the way he's going. So if he continues doing that, the numbers he'll contribute. As I say, mate, we could be in for a very entertaining finish to the season. Now, the Scottish Cup, in my opinion, will be a bonus if we can manage to get that again. But my main focus is on the league. I think the Europa at this point in time is a massive distraction. Albeit I don't want to just roll over and get my belly tickled either with Utrecht or Bologna. If this same team that battered, they went away and they battered Feyenoord. So if they're willing to fight and get the 2 results, 6 points, that could go a long way in terms of putting us in the mix of going to the next round. I'll be on board with that, mate. But my forefront in thinking, when my head is just now, is a league. That's fundamentally what I'm wanting as a league. And I would take Celtic dropping out the Europa League this season and dropping out even the Scottish Cup if it guarantees us to win the league. Albeit doing well in the other ones is going to be, much beneficial for the team to bring confidence and everything else, Daniel. We always like a Scottish Cup day out, mate. It's the very end of the season. It's that extra week onto the league season. But this season, mate, it's about rolling the sleeves up and getting on, mate. And my main focus, I don't know how, you can let me know your take before we finish up, mate, but my main focus is definitely on trying to get this league.
Oh no, 100%. That is the main one. I think if you were to ask any Celtic supporter at this point in the season, they'd say they wouldn't really care. Not that they care, but their main focus, like yourselves, would be the league. It needs to be. We're in a position where we've won 4 in a row. We're now looking to go. I think a commenter said it was spot on. That's is looking to be halfway through a third attempt at trying to go for 10. So it's a season where we should be in a position of power. At this point in time, we only. There's been so many factors that have contributed to us being in the position that we are in. So if you're wanting any sort of rectifiable outcome for this season, it is a league title. It's going to be a scrappy one if we are to do it, but you're spot on. It would be a very memorable one to get, but at the same time, it will be a big sigh of relief for a lot of people. I don't want it. What I don't want the outcome to be though is, say we go and do it, we go and win the league, and then it's that's all right. We won the league. Things need to change regardless, whether it's processes or people, because we cannot afford to keep having this reoccurring theme every 5 years of one season when it goes completely wrong and then we have to go and start again. Like, I disagree with what Barry says. It's like an illusion that clubs strengthen every year. If you look at Celtic over the last 20 years, bar one season, it has been improvement year upon year upon year. Brendan Rodgers comes in, completely changes the mentality surrounding trebles and success. Now, we all love success, but Brendan Rodgers totally changed how we see a treble. It's now become an expectant thing. So it just shows me that clubs can strengthen, and there might be the odd season where you get something wrong. You cannot allow there be a season where you get everything wrong at a club like Celtic. The resources that Celtic have in this goldfish bowl that we call home, because that's what it is. The resources that we have, the position that we've been in for the last 20 years now, you cannot afford to be in the position that we're in without vital change moving forward. Big picture, something needs done regardless of the outcome of this season, because we all want to be in a position of strength, back in the Champions League, back actually competing in the Champions League. This Celtic squad at this current time is nowhere near the level of what it was last year. And listen, do I think that we can do it? I think we can do it, but there's many factors that are going to need to go our way. Fix some things that we can control and some things that we can't control. But for what we can control, we need to get it right.
Derbies, and we play Hearts twice as well. So So there's 2 other teams in contention for the title right now. There's no other way about it. There is 2 other teams in contention for it. So when they play each other, we can't control that. But when we play either one of them, we need to win. We've drew and lost to one, and we've lost twice against the other. Unacceptable if you want to go and win the title. No, I agree. It's no title winning form. But again, that's the beauty of, as I said, you're coming through half a season there. And yeah, it's not been pretty. Definitely not. Far from it. But we have a great chance now in order to make the next half pretty. Because I can categorically say if Celtic win all their games under Martin Neill between now and the end of the season, they'll lift the league trophy high above their heads. So, and I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll just need to wait and see, mate. As I said, it's going to be a scrap, definitely. I do expect the two other teams that are in this race to drop points. Whether it's going to be enough now, well, I do expect them to drop points because we've still to play both teams twice, home and away. So
Yep.
I don't think Celtic go through all those, Daniel, not winning any of them. Personally, I'm being honest, mate. That would be really tough. I think if that was to happen, especially under Martin Neill. And I still think these players are good players, mate, bearing in mind. So I think Martin would certainly get more out of these players. He guided them to beating Rangers in the Cup semi-final.
Yep.
And people say, yeah, they had 10 men, JP, we beat them in extra time. No, we did, but if you look back at the game, we had enough chances again, it comes into this striker business.
Yeah.
If we bring a striker in, then yeah, we're talking about different games of football altogether, Daniel. But I think that's the beauty of it, mate. We've all got different opinions. We all see things totally different. We all look at things differently, and that's fine. I would never try and diminish someone else's opinion. People have got their own views. People, they look at things the same way. But I can talk through experiences, Daniel, and try and give my opinion based on my experiences. But I'm not going to sit and listen to people that just want to abuse individuals, and certainly just if that's that, to me, that's no football chat, Daniel. That's when you become a wee bit more personal. There's been comments in the chat tonight, mate, that have been personal about this channel. So
yeah,
when you want to start getting personal, if football gets you to that point, I'm afraid, as Ryan would say, I think it's time to go and start watching snooker or go and start watching cricket. Maybe football's no your thing. Maybe it's no for you. Maybe it's no something you should ever take up, because it drives you to a point where you feel the need to abuse any individuals. So yeah, I've always find it baffling, Daniel, when you see people going personally regarding someone else's opinion, mate, because an opinion's always something I think it's not up for discussion, because it's someone else's someone else's view on how they view a certain individual, a certain instant, a certain whatever it is.
yeah.
So,
when you start making it personal, it not only goes over a line, but it kind of invalidates your own point. You need to be able to respect people's views and opinions. You might not agree with them, but it doesn't mean you need to attack the person or persons directly. But no, listen, man, that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? That's what football is, and that's how we're sitting here, mate, because we've not got the same opinion. It would be boring for everybody if we come on and just said, yep, aye, spot on, yep, boom, see you later, see you next week. Do you know what I mean? So that's the beauty of it, mate. But aye.
Especially the ones that sit on fake profiles, and it's not even a person's name. Like quite the vast majority, the people that tune into your chats, Daniel, we know who they are.
Aye.
Certain ones have came to our live events, and so, and some other ones we've managed to build up relationships with through the dial-in and through getting to know people, even through the chat. And they know what we're all about. And yeah, when you see the ones that that come on and they're sitting there, we made up names, and it is what it is, mate. we can't all be perfect, mate. We can't all be. we definitely can't. But yeah, thanks to everybody. Daniel, first and foremost, mate, thanks to Guru for coming on and having a wee chat with me tonight, mate.
Nah, not a problem, mate. It's always a pleasure to come on and talk about Celtic. Whether that's success or failings or transfers or anything, mate, just anything that keeps us going and anything to talk about. And I think we've set it up lovely for wee Ryan's 10 o'clock show for anybody that's tuning into that. He's just getting started, so make sure to give him a wee watch.
That's how he's disappeared off the chat. He was away getting tills not organised for later on, so he's been busy. But for everybody else that's tuned in with us, thank you very much for staying with us throughout the time. Cheers to everybody that's been watching across the platforms tonight. Cheers to you guys that have sent in all your lovely comments. And cheers for the ones that have come in and actually just sent abuse to us as well. Cheers for the views. It really helps the channel go a long way. And aye, as I say, if you are new to the channel, you do like the channel and you do like what you've seen, please hit the like and the subscribe. It's totally free. We don't charge. We don't have any of that involved at all. We give our content away for free. And yeah, like Daniel says, folks, it's always good to talk about Celtic. That's a good thing about Celtic. There's never a dull moment around, and they always give us something to talk about, positive, negative, or somewhere in between, or even being ecstatic, or even being extremely sad. Celtic, there's never a dull moment, but as Daniel says, it's always a pleasure, folks. But for the time being, the lads will be back on tomorrow night. We've got Ryan and Sean. They'll be live at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. But for myself and Daniel, for the time being, a very good evening and hail, hail. Bye-bye.
Up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura!